Everybody, can you see my slide? Thumbs up, anybody? Okay, excellent. Well, welcome to our second BioBlitz launch meeting. I'm Nikki Toxopeus from the Yellow Point Ecological Society, hosting for the first time with Guy, our president, backing us up. For those who don't know the Yellow Point Ecological Society, it started back in 2017, and we are here to help our members and the general public appreciate, understand, protect and restore the ecology and the watersheds around the Yellow Point area. And as I mentioned, this is our second BioBlitz, and the first one certainly set me on the way for the first couple, appreciating and understanding. So I would like to start by saying good day and I squeal and acknowledge our gratitude, or my gratitude, for living on the territories of the First Nation people. We live on the Tsunamis and Squamish, Tsunamis and Stuminus people. And as we live here, we're working to improve the health of the ecosystems. And I'd like to welcome all our prospective and past participants. And our speakers tonight, who are Carrie and Cassidy. Carrie, you didn't pick up in the chatter, was the GIS student that mapped the Yellow Point ecological wetlands last year. And then in her spare time, she helped, or she started our first BioBlitz. She set it all up for us, arranged the speaker, got it all going in her volunteer hours. And she has a BA in geography and anthropology. So one of the fascinating things about Carrie Lynn is she's trying to go to Belize so she can use her GIS mapping skills to map ancient Mayan ruins. So with great trepidation, we said, are you still here this year to help us organize this BioBlitz? And Cassidy, I met through the Invasive Species Council of BC seminar, or conferences here, and she is the the outreach lead for the Invasive Species Council for our area. So she has a background, a BSc in ecology, diploma in natural systems restoration, and is a keen fisher person on river systems. And I forgot to ask her if she likes to swim in them too, because that's my passion as well. We also have here last year's winner, who is Liam. And Liam is happy to answer questions at the end of the presentations. But as he wasn't going to speak, I'll do a little background on what he contributed last year to the BioBlitz. And then I know that Carrie wants to give a little story on how she engaged Liam in our BioBlitz, which was fantastic. So, and then hopefully we have enough past participants to help in the poll, because what we discussed as a committee is like, do we want to change the way we're doing this BioBlitz? And we thought this meeting might be the best opportunity to have a little poll on that, and then to open the floor to questions. And we don't think it's going to be a 1.5 hour meeting. It's just a short meeting to help people get ready to participate. So last year was amazing. 62 people putting observations into the system. We had 157 people helping us identify them, and over 2,000 observations. It just blew our minds, as did Liam and all the work he did for us. So I had a little look at what he found last year, and he found a couple of very vulnerable species. And did you know that the grey heron is a vulnerable species? You can see from the map, we quite often observe it around this area, but that, and I think it was the barn swallow, were vulnerable species. These were the most popular species he loaded up onto the system. And imagine just in a 3-day event, catching a picture like this of an American mink, of our singing plainfin mittenship fish, and the Rocky Mountain, I can't see what it says behind there, but Rocky Mountain clearwing. And these are just amazing photographs and very interesting species. So I also found out something else from Liam. And the question is, in his answer, he gave me all these species. And my question is, what do they have in common? So there is current favorites. So American mink, we've seen already. Purple martin, I know where to find that. That's down by the dock. The red dead nettle, I now know where to find it. I'm seeing it everywhere. And we were discussing the beaver, but maybe some of this will open up questions to Liam at the end. Definitely a very interesting, diverse botanist. So with that, I'd like to say thank you, Wichika, and hand it over to Carrie. Carrie, if you want to, I will have to stop sharing my screen, right? Okay. Stop share, and then if Carrie can, Carrie, are you able to share now? And unmute?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we hear you.
Okay.
Great.
I'm going to quickly see. Can you see my screen?
It's starting. It's coming.
Yeah.
And then I better mute myself. Okay.
You can see now?
Yep.
Lots of dead broom. Lots of dead broom.
So this is that beaver thing, and these are those 3 entrances. These rounded branches, and you can see that they're just starting to build this new lodge. Anyways, it's pretty cool. So I will stop sharing that just so you can see what I was talking about. And now I will share my presentation. Okay. Oh, just a second. Okay. Oh yeah, right. You can't do that beforehand. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. Sure. There we go. And we'll go from the beginning. And maybe. There we go. Okay. So this year's BioBlitz event, our 2nd annual, will start on April 30th to May 2nd, the 3-day event. So why do we want to BioBlitz, you might be asking? One, it helps record different things like the health of a species, and citizens are some of the best first at being able to identify species, right? This is a starfish. I don't know if everybody's heard of the wasting disease, but this one's actually relatively healthy, which is good to record too, but it can help record things like if a species is in danger. Also for recording invasive species. We all know this guy, this bright yellow guy here. For me, these were some of the creatures that I really wanted to capture, was the snake and the salamander, and actually that's a newt. No, salamander. I can't remember. Actually, and then of course the pale swallowtail. So these were pretty amazing things that I got to take pictures of last year. Also, it's a great community engagement. So everybody, even though these were traditionally held, everybody got together and they worked with scientists and did this recording all by hand on paper and all that. Using the iNaturalist app makes it a lot easier. We don't have to get together. We can, but this is a photograph of a Whistler event where the whole BioBlitz got together and took a photo, which is something I'd like to do in the future. Maybe take a photo of our BioBlitz so that we could have that up on our website. So the event details, it starts at 6 a.m. on the Saturday and runs right through 24 hours till 8 p.m. on the Monday. We do ask that you record those observations by 8 so we can sort of include them in a sort of daily reports and update you guys. If you're registered, there are eligible for prizes. And like I said, it runs continuously. So that's So before the BioBlitz, you need to download and install the iNaturalist.ca app, definitely CA. Practice taking photos with the app, without the app, identifying the subjects. And when you upload them, you can load them immediately or you can upload them later. So explore the app because it does lots of different things, which I'll show you a few of those in a little bit here. So these are tips and videos from the website. And I'm not sure if this slide could be posted on the Yes website, and then that would give you links to these. But if you just type in the iNaturalist, you can get a hold of these different blogs and posts and videos that show you how to do this. And then lastly, before the project, you have to make sure you join the project, which I'm also going to show you how to do. So how to add the camera photos. If you're going to do it right from the app, you can take photos right from the app by pressing this plus. So plus, you want to add a photo or add an observation. So this is what the app looks like on the main screen. And you just press this little plus, and then you can start taking your photos. You can either take a photo with the app. I personally like to just use my camera, and then because it gives me 2 or 3, 4, maybe 4 shots, because they don't always end up in focus and things move quickly. So you can go in later and then choose your image from your gallery and do it that way. You can also do recordings, and you can do no media as well. But if it's no media, then you can't get to research grade, which research grade, other people confirm what you've found, and then it becomes research grade. So that's really important. So you can, like I said, you can go in, and if you do this choose image, you can go in and you can go through your whole gallery and pick which photo you're going to put, like this little brown lip snail. And then when you're in there as well, when you're go into your observation, that specific observation, and you have your picture, you can take that picture and you can do all sorts of editing with that picture. So that's what I mean by exploring the app. If you go in there, you can duplicate the picture and you can zoom in on the picture, you know, cut and crop, just like you can with any other. And what did you see? Very important. Put something in there. If you're not sure, look it up. Do your best to put something in that what did you see category, because that's what allows us to go in there and do that, bring it up to a research grade. Because somebody will go in and say, oh, yep, we agree with you, or nope, this is what I think it is. And then they might tell you why. I had someone tell me I had my snake wrong. So they told me there was a certain amount of scales beside the lips. They knew how many scales were there alongside the mouth. So, and that's how they knew. Like I said, you can go and zoom into these photos a little closer. Now I have 2 photos on there and they're both the same, but I can zoom one in. And you can make that first. If you go to these 3 little dots right here, you can always do the make first. And that's the picture that's going to come up when your observation is. So choose the best one. Here's me going closer on the little guy. And that's the one I've made first here at the end. See, they're kind of small because they're on my phone, in my phone. So to join the project itself, after you've done your practicing and or before, you can just go in there. And I've heard this 3 little lines here called the hamburger. So you click on the hamburger and then this screen will come up and you've got explore, projects, guides, all sorts of different things. So you go into projects, and then if you hit projects, you can see the joined. These are the ones I've joined currently. But if you hit the search button and you type in exactly as it's typed here, yes, BioBlitz 2022, that allows you to join this year's, and it'll say join. And then you just click on join and you can join. And that's as simple as how you join the project. And if you're within that map, which is also up on the website, in that yellow boundary, inside that, then any observation you take is going to end up in the BioBlitz. The reason, like I said, was that we use the iNaturalist app. It's very user friendly. It's easy to use. It's easy as taking a picture and maybe looking it up later, maybe not. going in there and helping to identify other people's who's done the BioBlitz. That's being an identifier is really important too. So if you go back in after the day's done or whatever and go and see what like people Liam has done and things like that, and you know, say, oh yeah, I know what that is, and you click on that and you just agree with him, then that gives you that. So here I had a woodpecker. This was my very first one on the nap, and I had the wrong one. So somebody else suggested, actually it was Pacific white-sided dolphin, who is Liam, suggested that I do this, and that it was a downy. So that's what I put on there. And I went back in and looked better, and he was right. So I agree with him. And then we got it to research grade, and now all is good. Now the top tips for when you're gonna participate. If you have a camera, a digital camera, which you need because it's got to have a location on it. It needs that GPS location. You have to make sure that your GPS is turned on, whether it's on your digital camera, whether it's on your iPhone or on your Android phone or on your tablet. Make sure that GPS is turned on so it can record that. You can go back in and add it later, but it's just so much easier just to turn it on, even just for the event. And then if you don't want it on, turn it off at the end of the day. So another top tip, photos. Get closer. See, go close in. Shoot multiple angles of it, because sometimes, like I said, with that snake and the 7, because I had a side shot of that snake, they were able to see just how many scales were down the side of its face, and they knew which type it was. And keep them sharp and in focus. You can also use field guides to help identify the specimen. And like I said, set personal goals and lists. Like I really wanted to take a picture of a butterfly. I didn't know I was going to get the pale swallowtail. That's a beautiful, very large butterfly. So I was pretty stoked about that. I wanted a picture of a snake. There was different creatures that I wanted to get, and I sort of set my own little goal, and I achieved most of them. So I was pretty proud of myself. And that's about it for this. And if there's any more questions that I didn't answer, please, at the end of Cassidy's, you can just ask me. And if you can't think of any right now, but you come up with them later, there is a Gmail account that I do keep track of, and I'll answer that as quickly as I can. Okay. And you can also find that on the website, on the Yellow Point Ecological Society website as well.
Thanks so much, Carrie. If you'll unshare, and then we'll let Cassidy in. Yep.
I will do that. Stop sharing.
Thanks for the quick, subtle publicity for the City of Nanaimo. That's on at the same time, and we can do both at the same time if we're in their boundary. There's an overlap. Yeah. Yeah.
In the northern part of, or in the Cedar area there, around Jack Point Park and around the estuary. It's all overlapping there between the two events. So
how are you doing, Cassidy?
Just share now. You can see that? Woohoo. Okay.
We see you.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. That was a really good presentation. I loved that. And that's kind of a good intro for the invasive part. So yeah, I'm Cassidy. I work for the Invasive Species Council of BC. So obviously invasive species are near and dear to my heart. And so today I'd be talking about how community science plays a role with reporting invasives. So let's jump into it. Some of you probably already saw me talk, but just in case you don't know who I am or who we are, the Invasive Species Council has been around for 16 years, and we work to spearhead behavior change programs in communities, organizations, governments, and industries. And so that's all to help protect our province against the spread of invasive species. We're the largest provincial invasive species charity in Canada, and we have a pretty broad reach, so that includes education, outreach, and training. So our mission is to take action to build healthy landscapes, habitats, and community through education and responsible practices to prevent invasives. So BioBlitzes fit in perfectly with our mission. And so we're really passionate about this as well, and we'll be participating in it. And so invasive species, as I'm sure all of you know, but as a quick refresher, they're an introduced organism that's not native and causes harm to an ecosystem. So that can be environmental, economic, or social harm. And they outcompete native vegetation. So that's where the big issues come from. So how to help? Reporting invasive species when out in nature is a really great way to contribute to community science. And your BioBlitz is the perfect time to do it. So when you upload observations of invasive species in your area, scientists, land managers, policymakers, and us are at our provincial organization, we're able to view those infestation areas and respond quickly. And so when I personally am out on a nature walk, I'm adding all of my observations to both iNaturalist and the Report Invasive Species app. And so that's like at the bottom right of the screen there, the little red box. So by reporting invasive species on one or both of those apps, you can make real changes in your community. And I know Carrie is going to be compiling all of our invasive species observations in the BioBlitz and sending it to us here at the council. And that'll help us plan some action work for our teams on the ground to do invasive removal. So it really is making a difference. So a little bit about both apps. Obviously, great presentation on iNaturalist, so I'm not even going to bother touching that. But I guess about the Report Invasive BC app. This is a government report a species hotline basically for BC, and it's for invasive species only, whereas iNaturalist is for both native and invasives. So both applications are available for Apple and Android, and they're both free. And if you have time to record invasive species when you're out on the field in both apps, amazing. But if not, that's okay too, because scientists and policymakers are active on both IAS and iNaturalist. So you'd be contributing to community science no matter which app you're using. That being said, the Report Invasive BC app is great for sending infestations of invasive species directly to government specialists. And so I've done this before I started working for the council. I took a picture on the IAS app and I got an email back from an invasive species specialist working for the government, confirming that they received the ID and that they were sending someone out to manage that invasive. So it's pretty cool. It definitely works. And you're also contributing to that online database for new invasive species infestations. And if you're seeing an invasive for the first time in your area, that's all super relevant, super helpful for our government. So same as iNat, all you would need to do is take a clear photo, and then you would choose the category that best fits your observation. So you can kind of see on the screen there, it'd be like plant, fish, mammal, stuff like that. And it'll record your location. So this one, again, you take the picture in the field, you can upload it on the app, but it'll just sit there and wait until you're back in Wi-Fi to upload completely. But it'll have that geo-reference data. So it'll have your GPS point on there. So then I wanted to look at a few examples of how iNaturalist reports from actual community members have had like really big impacts. And the first one that I wanted to touch was a report of the invasive elm zigzag sawfly. This was noted in Quebec by Elaine Hoog. And so this person uploaded the observation of an insect leaf mining pattern that you can see on the left there. And they identified it under butterflies and moths. And that's such a great thing to do. If you don't know what you're looking at, just upload it under a group. And there's a ton of specialists that are super interested in different groups, and they'll come in and ID it for you. But this specific observation caught the attention of biologists and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, who were able to go to the location and confirm a new invasive species that had arrived in North America. So this was the first instance of citing this invasive species ever in North America, which was very, very cool. And it can have severe impacts on our native elm browsers. So it was a really fantastic observation. Another one here, I just want to highlight that INET observations can also offer data on ecological interactions. So this could be through birders taking photos that show new examples of birds feeding on exotic prey. And so you can see here, both of these bird species are feeding on introduced invasives in BC. So the northern pygmy owl on the left has a common wall lizard in its claws. And then on our right, the hooded merganser has an oriental weatherfish in its bill. And so this gives us new knowledge, not only about invasive species distributions, but how they're interacting with our native species and the overall ecosystems. And finally, this is a pretty cool GIF here. So you can see the little orange dots like appearing across the map of North America. And so this is showing how community science observations on iNaturalist can be used to inform invasive species priority and management plans. And so specifically, this is the brown marmorated stink bug, first observed in 2008. It's an invasive insect that can cause a ton of agricultural loss once it gets into orchards and farms. And so INET users have been tracking the movement of it since 2008, like I said, and it has actually informed our management plans in Canada. So this is something that we're really aware of, and it is an early detection, rapid response species. So on that note, early detection, rapid response, EDRR, this is a screenshot of some of the high priority species within our coastal region. And so these species are all listed under prevention. So we're in the early detection phase. We want to see them right away so we can make the quickest response possible so that they aren't forming any populations here. And it's critical to report them if you see them. So this is from the Coastal Invasive Species Committee's website. Definitely check that out for more info. I can post the link in the chat too, or give it to Nikki at the end of this. But if you are out on your BioBlitz and you see any of these, please, please, please report them. That is super important data that we definitely want to have. Following that same note, there are different levels of priority invasive plant species. And it's just as important to report other priority invasives when you're out and about. And so I have species listed under eradicate here. So eradicate means that they're known to occur in limited distributions and low density. So we want to make sure that we're rapidly treating any reported sightings before they spread. So you can see I have blueweed and sweet fennel on here. And it also has species listed under contain. So these ones have established infestations in portions of the coastal region. So we want to contain those existing infestations and prevent spread to uninfested areas. And so you may see orange hawkweed, poison hemlock, any knotweed species, and Himalayan balsam. And these ones are just more of the common ones. There are quite a few in our contain section. So once again, definitely check out their website for more info. And then lastly, these ones you'll 100% see, I can guarantee it. These ones are listed under control. So they have established infestations. They're common and widespread. But you know, it's still important to report them, especially so that we can focus control within identified high value conservation areas. So if you know that you're in somewhere where there's rare species or any conservation or nature park, this is when this would be a really good time to ID these species and add them to INAT or to the IAS app. And so, as I'm sure y'all know, there's English ivy, Scotch broom, Himalayan blackberry, holly, spurge laurel, and spotted knapweed, to name a couple. And also, I just wanted to take a spin through some aquatic invasive species because they don't get touched on as much as plants do, but they still come in many different forms, from plants, amphibians, and fish to different types of parasites. And like all invasive species, they're not native and they pose some sort of harm to our local environment or economy or our social lives. And here are some common notable freshwater invasive species that you may see when you're out and about. So top left is a freshwater jellyfish. It actually originates from China, and it was found in Killarney Lake on the island. In the middle, top middle, there's quagga and zebra mussels, which pose a very, very serious threat to our freshwater ecosystems. And they're currently being transported across our country from the east to the west. So it's not here yet, but we do expect it to be here soon. So definitely be on the lookout for this guy. Top right, we have narrow-leaved cattail, which is a wetland invader. Same with bottom left, yellow flag iris. The red-eared slider is obviously this invasive turtle species. It competes with our native painted turtle. So that's also very important to report. Eurasian water milfoil and American bullfrog are also devastating to our native wetland ecosystems. And then some more fun ones. I'm not as familiar with these, so I'm hoping there's not too many questions on them, but our website is full of info on it. We just released an entire e-learning course on the European green crab in the middle there. So it actually is a full course on how to learn how to identify and even become certified in European green crab monitoring. So if that's something that's interesting to you, definitely check it out. But our other examples here are Japanese oyster and the clubbed tunicate. And yeah, that's all from me. But yeah, I'm just really eager to see all of your observations. And like I mentioned before, this really does contribute to invasive species management. So I'm so excited that you're all very interested in it. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Cassidy. Wow. I want to
So
sign
many
up for some of those
invasives.
courses. And I want to say that Rick Harbour, who's a local marine specialist, he's going to participate in the BioBlitz. He's not here tonight, and we also have his book as one of the prizes. So I encourage people to get out on the aquatic side.
Definitely. There's
Okay,
a lack of reports on the aquatics, so please, please report aquatics if you can.
Okay. Right, we'll have to get people in the water. Okay, any questions for our panel? Guy?
I just wanted to say that during your talk, I went to the Invasive Species app and I downloaded it, and you can click on any, touch any of these ones and it'll give you, the more details of what they are. So there we go. Good for you.
Thank you.
Excellent. I think we've started a page on the YES website for invasives. So all these useful links, Cassidy, we need to get them cross-posted and get them up there.
So this lets you explore each category and see a photograph of them all, which is it's just Invasive Species app. I went to the App Store and downloaded it, and there we go.
Okay, we have a question on chat here from Ruth saying, how do you zoom in iNaturalist? Carrie, do you want to try and take that one? Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you want to? Okay.
I'm here.
Question from Ruth is, how do you zoom in iNaturalist? Ruth, do you want to unmute yourself and clarify? Is that to clip the pictures or?
So if
Hi. So as you were talking, I was trying to figure out how to do that. Nikki, and I couldn't, I couldn't, and like I could do it just in my photos, I guess, but I wondered if there was a way to do it in iNaturalist.
Well, I know that when I do it, let's see. Nope, can't see my phone because of my background. Doesn't allow you to see my phone. Like I was showing on my presentation.
Ruth, are you on a phone or a computer?
I'm on my iPhone.
iPhone, okay.
iPhone,
Good
okay.
to know.
So the iPhones are a little different. I have an Android phone, so I'm not quite sure how the iPhone works. I know that with my Android phone, if when I'm in the iNaturalist camera, because you can use an iNaturalist camera by pressing that plus sign or add sign, add an observation. I can zoom in just like I would with my own phone camera. So I don't know how if the iPhone's different. I don't know if
Oh,
anyone
okay.
else has iPhone.
I did try that.
So Ruth,
Guy,
Ruth,
do you want to contribute?
I can jump in here. If you just take the photograph and then you put your fingers on it and stretch it,
Oh,
that's how you do it. Simple as that.
okay. Okay, thanks.
And this
That
is an
while you're
iPhone.
taking it, Guy.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Guy.
Okay, great.
My favorite technique is to upload all my photographs to Dropbox and then upload them to iNaturalist on my computer when I get home, because you can actually put multiple photos in, which, as Carrie says, allows you to display more stuff to the people who are going to verify it. Things like mosses, which are so tiny, if you can get zoomed in shots, or I've even taken microscope shots to put onto the iNaturalist to help distinguish between species. And it's such a great learning experience. Just love it. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, practice and explore before the event. Like just go out in your yard and take pictures of bumblebees and dandelions and your plants and whatever's around your yard. Just practice and you'll get more comfortable.
So I have a question to Liam. Liam, how do you get those bugs to stand still while you take pictures of them?
Did you see the bugs?
Well, you've got that beautiful insect that you took last year, the
clear wing. The clear wing.
The clear wing.
Usually I just wait until I just follow it until it lands. It sometimes takes a few minutes, but it was worth it in that case. I'd never seen that before. The clear one.
Yeah. And the mink, did you know where the mink lived, or was that just a sighting on the weekend?
Yeah, my mom, she goes swimming in the ocean in the morning sometimes with some of her friends, and she went with a First Nation leader, I think, and it was at 5 a.m, so I went down with them, and I was walking around by a Slag Point by Transfer Beach, and I just the mink ran from the ocean in front of me.
Oh,
but
wow.
I didn't know. I'd never seen a mink there before, so.
Wow.
Yeah, in case how I met Liam was, like I said, he he made a suggestion on my first photo that I ever did. So I went in and looked at his profile, and he had over 10,000 observations, and I was just amazed. And I don't think he had been, you hadn't been on the iNaturalist app for too long, only like a year or so, right?
I joined in May 2020, I think.
Yeah, and I was amazed how he got that many photos. So I just said, hey, you live in the area. How would you like to join our BioBlitz? And he was more than willing and quite happy to. And boy, I'm glad he did. I'm really glad you. And I didn't find out that Pacific white-sided dolphin, Liam, was a young man of 11 at the time until after Nikki met him when he came to pick up his prize. So I didn't even know that till about 2 months later.
Another question's come in from Genevieve. A question for Cassidy and potentially also maybe for Joanne. For invasive species locally like broom, ivy, or English holly, how do you suggest removing, cutting, etc., or report and wait for the experts? I know for the BioBlitz we want to record them, but what about during the rest of the year? I think that's Cassidy, would you like to go first? And Genevieve, do you want to open up and explain anything about your question, or are you happy with my translation?
Yeah, I think that's fine. It's mostly just, I mean, on my daily walks, I see broom and I have seen one time only ivy in the ecological reserve, and I did remove it because it was just a small little thing. And but I don't know if that's something. Do you want citizen scientists to do that sort of stuff, or I mean, obviously, I don't want to destroy an ecosystem by going in and trying to remove something, but there's also lots of that poison hemlock in our area as well.
That is a really good question. I can speak to some of it for sure. Yeah, definitely don't remove poison hemlock by yourself. But as for the rest of them, as someone who works in the industry, I would say that know your regional policies around removing invasive species on the land. Depends what land you're on, whether it's good to just go and remove it. Lots of places, if it's like private parkland, for example, like parkland, they don't really like other people coming in and removing it because they do have park crews to do that. But at the same time, like, just know the area that you're in. If it's a path that you walk every day and it's a little bit, I would never discourage that. I think anything like pulling out a sprig of ivy is very helpful. And yeah, just, I don't know, take a look into the species that you're removing, like broom, for example. It's not always good to pull it because it does like disturb the soil, and that can have some pretty negative effects. But yeah, I would say know your species and know the area that you're in. But yeah, Joanne, if you have a better answer, since y'all probably know your area better than I do, please jump in.
Jump in, Joanne. Joanne is the broom buster lady, so it's from the horse's mouth here.
Yeah, well, yeah, so Cassidy, you mentioned, pulling the broom can be destructive to the native plants around it. So we don't pull. Broom will die if you just cut it at ground level most times of the year, but primarily in the spring. I think that the main concern about whether or not to take a plant down, particularly broom, is what you're going to do with it then, right? Because you have to dispose of it some way or another. So certainly if there's a plant or two, or even the people on the highways, and even BC Hydro, just kind of a private call, finally I got to talk to BC Hydro, said, yeah, yes, go ahead and remove it, just don't make big piles, because big piles of broom can be dangerous. So I would say that the two concerns about, should you take broom down, is what are you going to do with it? Do you have a way to dispose of it? You can leave a few of them here and there, or because you don't want to create a fire hazard. If there's a pile, then it can create a fire hazard. But heavens, if there's a small amount of broom somewhere and nobody else is going to go for it, then definitely it's on your plate. Get rid of it.
That's great. Thanks.
Yeah.
If I just jump into Joanne, in our area of Yellow Point, it's a common custom among our friends. If we see a small broom plant growing, like, just 12 inches high, a baby one that's never been mature, you pull it out of the ground straight away and leave it on the path. And it's so small, it tells other people that local people are caring to look out for the broom. So it's a kind of interesting sign, like saying, and it's just the small plants, when it's just starting to get established, we do that. Is that okay for us to do that?
That's great. Yeah. When it's small, I think that they say, like, once it's the size of your little finger or a pencil, then when you pull it, usually it has to, spreading roots, and at that point you will disturb the soil. But if you end up pulling one out and it does disturb the soil, if you pat it down a lot, usually you can minimize the problem is that, the broom is spread by seeds. It's not really spread by roots. Now, that's not true of the other invasives, like a piece of Japanese knotweed. If you leave any other root in there, it's all going to come back. But broom, it's the seeds that you have to control. So those, you just don't want the sunlight to hit the seeds. So that's why just cover it up as much as you can.
And I
But yes,
just like,
hold the little ones in the wet season. So if you really want to get rid of broom, all winter long, you can be pulling them, and all spring and early summer, you can be cutting them.
Guy, did you want to go again?
No, I got a separate question for Liam.
I just want to close out on Joanne
Yes.
to say that she's agreed to speak to the society on the 12th of May in advance of one of our broom cuts. So we try and work with the people who have jurisdiction over the land, like the RDN, and we're trying to get to a point where there's an ongoing relationship and people adopt patches and look after them and know what to do and dispose. So yeah, we'll see Joanne again on May the 12th. Okay, Guy, back to you.
Yes, so Liam had a question for you. Of all the species you've identified locally, which were the ones that gave you the most pleasure or surprise or whatever? That, oh my goodness, wow, I found one of these. Like, what happened, right?
Do you mean recently?
Yeah.
Which of the 10,000? Yep.
On Sunday, Nanaimo River estuary, I saw a Townsend solitaire. It's a bird. It's like gray, kind of like a robin-sized bird. That was interesting. I think it's kind of uncommon. I've never seen one before, so that was neat.
And any other ones you've seen or spotted?
Well, I usually look for birds. So there was at the unusual spot for birds at the Duncan Sewage Lagoons, it's called. There was a rare duck from, I think it was Asia, that was from like December till like mid-March or something. It was called a tufted duck. So that was interesting.
Let me take the opportunity. Speaking of bird sound, you can also record bird song on the iNaturalist app, right?
Correct, yeah.
So if I just do a quick screen share here.
I put a dove on her last year.
So this is on our Yellow Point Ecological website. We've got this page called Common Yard Birds. And if you literally, I'm going to be quiet now. So if you're in the forest and you hear a sound, we can help you to identify, the. And there's loads of these. A colleague of ours put them up. Here's the cedar waxwing. That's very faint. Anyway, I'll stop sharing. You can find that on our website. Yeah.
Super. Back to the chat. There's another question from Krista. Chris, you want to unmute and ask yourself? Would you like me to speak? You need to unmute. Okay. So question.
I
there you
found
go.
it. I couldn't find the button.
You found yourself. Okay.
Okay, so we go to the river every summer, or when is it about? When did we see them? Well, the American bullfrog tadpole has such a long developmental stage, so I guess it doesn't matter what season, it's there all the time, but we were there back in September and there was just a massive amount of the tadpoles. Massive, like it was just a swarm, they were everywhere. And this is not the first time. There's been quite a few locations on the Nanaimo River that we've seen this over the years. And I have always wondered what is the best thing to do in that situation when you're literally right there and maybe your kids has a net or something. Is it, because I've heard of people doing large, like in Hemer Park one year, I know there was a group that went in and just tried to actually just collect and dispose of as many bullfrogs as they could. So I don't know, is that appropriate to do with a species like that? Like, how do you deal with that? I know it's different because it's not a plant, it's an animal. So there's like a sensitivity around that, but.
I know one of our members, Jane, takes him home to the deep freeze, but Cassidy, go for it.
To the deep freeze, that's funny. Yeah, that's definitely, you nailed it with like, it's an animal, so it's a little trickier. I would always report it if you get the IAS app that I had going there. That would go right to a government official, and if they know that it's the whole pond, like on that app, when you report it, you can add in the notes what the infestation size is. So they'll have an idea of it, and they'll get like a biologist out there to look at it. That's probably the best way to deal with it in getting the best management response, because they'll be able to treat like the full size of the infestation. I mean, I don't know how effective it would be to try and treat it yourself. I guess deep freeze would work because then it wouldn't be out in the wild. But
well, I have one little thing to add. My daughter back in September took 2 home. So it's been about 7 or 8 months now. She's actually feeding them in an aquarium. And so my next question would be, once they've reached full size, we have no intention of releasing them. What would be the best purpose for these to meet their fate? Would there be maybe a retreat, you know, or a animal rehab? Would there be animals that would like to eat them, or, you know?
Humans have to be the predators.
Yeah.
I don't think we have very much interest in eating them.
No frog legs.
Know what to do. And I told her we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. I'm not sure what you want to do. And she's, well, I'm just going to keep taking care of them until we figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, they could just be pets. That's where they came from in the first place, as being released, because they were pets. Yeah, that's like such a huge program that we're trying to tackle right now at the council, is like the Don't Let It Loose program. And I think so many aquarium pets, and not just pets, like Eurasian water milfoil, which was on one of my slides, that's an aquarium plant too. And so I think like in this situation, prevention is really like the best way that we can deal with all this, and spreading awareness around that. But that is a tricky situation. I would keep them as pets because it's kind of cool, but that's
There's
like
just 2, and they're growing very well. One of them's got massive legs now, and it didn't before. And so she's obviously doing something right, but you know, and then anyway, we'll cross the bridge when we get to it, I guess.
Okay, thanks. Guy, were you raising your hand again?
3 thoughts on this one. Our neighbors down the road are both biologists, ecologists, and they live on the lake with their 3 daughters, and they're raising them in a very natural way. They will go out on the lake at night with a big flashlight, and they have to go pit lamping for the bullfrogs. They can pick them out of the lake, and they'll whack them on the side of the metal boat and just kill them instantly, and take them home and eat the legs for supper. That's a definite thing, right? Yep. Second thing is that if you spot the when I first came across a tadpole, they are literally a foot long, and they're huge, right? But if you can just scoop those tadpoles out, I mean, they may be turning into frogs before the wild biologist can get to them. If you just scoop them out and throw them 20 meters away, they're not going to probably live. And the local eagles and turkey vultures are going to come down and have a feast and eat them, which is probably a good way of going about it.
Yep.
And the third thing is, when we found one down in Victoria, I called the UVic bullfrog specialist, because it was a friend of mine, and I said, "What should we do?" And she said, "Well, you put it in a brown box in the fridge, and then when it's chilled down, you put it in the freezer. It'll kill it, right?" Well, we've since been told that is not good advice, because they find them in the boxes and the freezers with the legs all splayed out like they're in pain. But she also didn't tell me the critical thing: if you're going to put a bullfrog in a box in the fridge, don't let your wife see it. Because my wife, Carolyn, went to the fridge and saw this box and opened it up, not knowing it was. And the most horrendous scream of outrage came that there's a live bullfrog in her fridge. It was not a good move. Anyway, story over.
So I think the philosophy of no harm and being fully educated is really important.
But
and reporting, unless you really know what you're doing, just stick to reporting.
But they eat the tree frogs, they eat the baby ducklings, they devastate the other native species.
It's true. Yeah, it's so tricky because, like you mentioned too, Nikki, I'm really big into fly fishing. And so if I ever catch an invasive fish, I'm automatically like, no, this shouldn't be here. Like, I'm not going to throw it back. But yeah, for anything else, I'm like, well, there's people who could do a better job than me. So it honestly just depends
I can't even write the chapter on invasive animals. I can kind of handle invasive plants, but I still oscillate between, who's really, anyway. Moving on to a more BioBlitz related topic. The question from Ruth, Carrie, is Ruth's not finding the BioBlitz in the projects. Can you help?
Yes, I noticed that question myself, and I will share my screen here. And Ruth, do you have an iPhone or an Android phone?
Ruth might need to unmute.
An iPhone.
An iPhone. Okay. I'm not positive how the iPhone works, but I know you can either do it on your computer because you can log into iNaturalist on a computer or with your phone. And if you go into, I think you can see my screen right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So on this one, on the one that has all your observations, this is basically your home screen of observations. You can go in, and however you get to the on an iPhone, for me, it's I press this 3 lines right here, and up comes, you can change. This is like your homepage on any type of app, right? You've got
the menu section.
Yeah,
The hamburger
yeah,
button.
it's the menu. So in there should be a something about projects, and if you click on projects,
Got it.
and then in there should be a search button.
Ah,
Like here this is on my Android phone. This means search, this little magnifying
Got it.
glass. And if you click in that and you type yes BioBlitz exactly like this with the capitals, 2022, it should come up.
And it does come up. This is what I just did it on mine. It shows up just like that.
Good time to do it on mine too.
Yeah.
and I got 2021, but so I typed in, oops.
If you type in 2022, you'll get the new one.
Type in 2022, it should come up. Like I said, search exactly as typed here. With all the capitals in 2022.
Well, you guys should go ahead. It's not working for me, but
That's strange. Do you have a computer
I'll
as
go
well?
visit Guy.
Do you have a computer as
I
well?
put it in there, and then I press the search.
I
and
just
it
have to
just
put
goes
in the
away.
first. If I put in the first 3 letters, it comes up as a suggestion.
Yeah.
No. Other thing, Ruth, might be handy is to make sure that your GPS, your location is apparent, because often these apps will offer you information relative to your location.
Yes.
I use iNaturalist quite a lot, and it usually finds the locations okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. You guys go ahead, because
Yeah, if you need to hook up in
I
person.
don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Great.
Go ahead.
Are there any other questions? We sort of hit the 8 o'clock mark and thought it would be a short, sweet meeting, but maybe this is a good time, Guy, to pop up.
Oh, the polls, absolutely. Let me find
You
the
forgot
poll.
about them.
No, yeah, I was waiting for you to remind me. So I'm going to launch.
Oh,
the
there you
first poll.
go. Yeah. So just a quick poll to see if we should make any changes. Now, what do we have to do? Yeah. Oh.
You just have to answer. One person's answered. 3 people have answered so far. I'm waiting for. There are 12 of us, 13. So
I'm seeing the. I'm just seeing the. I'm just seeing the answers coming up. Where's the questions?
well, I did. There are people not seen that's because you're co-host. Has everyone seen the question?
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just thought it was a
There's 8
a
people
senior
have answered
moment
so far.
again.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's the
Got it.
result. There's the result, right?
Oh, excellent.
Now I'll do the next poll. And there's 5 of these polls to give you due notice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, hang on, stop sharing. Annual event, best time, launch.
So part of the background to the best time is we have the schools involved, and Monday mornings are not the best time for schools to be organized. So the city of Nanaimo has like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah.
So I've given you the choices of now or first weekend in June or first weekend in July.
Oh, okay.
I had to do choices. It couldn't just be yes or no, right?
Yes, no, okay, right.
So we got
Uh-huh. And Guy, you can keep these stored somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. I think you better write them down. In case
Oh, no, you're giving me an action. No, that's
no,
terrible.
you work on that, right? So that's 100%. So that's
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
say current is good. 3 think first week in June, and 1 prefers first week in July.
Okay.
I just got to share the results, so you weren't seeing those. That's the results. And I have to stop sharing and go to the third poll, which is
So one thing about keeping the same area in the same town every year, then scientists can figure out if climate change is affecting flowering season and all sorts
should
of
we
things.
extend it to Thursdays and Fridays for more school engagement?
Okay.
Everyone is saying
Yes.
Everyone's saying yes to that one. Yeah, so there's the results of that. That was an easy one. And then the next poll is untitled, but there we go. Did you participate last year?
Trying to find if this is an informed information you're giving us or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's 100%. So 6, I guess, share the end poll,
Okay.
share the results. There's your results.
Okay.
And I stopped sharing, and I've got another question here. Should we change the area of the BioBlitz? Keep it as it is? Extend it west to include extension in Nanaimo River Road? You can answer as many as you want. North to include South Nanaimo, or south to include Saltaire? And 6 out of 11 people, have more people still not coming in. We're still waiting for some answers to come in. 8 have replied so far. Anyone else going to do it? Okay, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Interesting.
That makes me very happy because we don't quite have Ladysmith in there, so going south would be great. Yeah.
And I'll stop sharing. There you go.
Thanks so much, Guy, for setting that up for us. And thanks everybody for joining in and participating, and hope to see you at the BioBlitz. Lovely to see you, Nicola, other Nicola.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Don't forget to invite your friends and your family and anybody else you can think. It's a great fun event because you can go, you can compare notes about what you guys found. It's a really great way to engage everybody around you too. So don't forget.
Before you go, I want to show you something funny here. I'm going to share the screen of the whole thing. Now watch this. I didn't mean that. Sorry, the wrong sharing. That's not the right sharing. I want to share the screen of the desktop. Yeah. Oh, I don't want that. I want to. Anyway, if you I can't do it on your Zoom thing. If you go see reaction, the button called reactions down the bottom, right?
Yep.
Click on that. You see the emojis.
Yeah.
Click on the little 3 dots at the side of the emojis.
Yeah.
Right. Now you've got all this. Now if you click on the third one called animals and nature, and you can all share a different emoji, like there's, on your screen, and you can have lots of fun in future Zoom webinars, sharing your animal emojis.
Are you sharing an American bullfrog right now? Oh,
well, that was okay. I'll do something
this is what my friend draws me as a cartoon. They make me a rat.
It's just fun on Zoom. There we go, fun on Zoom.
Okay, Joanne's a panda. Okay.
I love snakes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Guy, are you going to stop the recording and then we can...
Yes, it'll stop when we end.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.